So they don't get the kill. Also, it seems that Ashe at the moment doesn't have mana for her ultimate. And Katarina here, for some reason, goes in, tries to get Ashe, and isn't actually strong enough to get Ashe. Although it was very close, so I can see why she would try to get that, but yeah, with Evelyn still around, she would have died anyway. What would have been better is for her to get back to her tower, actually just last hit with her Shanpo or whatever it's called, the one where she throws the knife. So the ranged one, because most of her abilities, of course, aren't ranged, which is very hard to compete. Which makes it very hard to compete with a ranged champion like Ashe. And Ashe, in the meantime, has picked up more damage because, well, at 3-0 you should go for damage. There's no reason to go for defensive items. As you're winning your lane, you basically should focus on being the carry. He's drawing out the minion to make it easier to get the last hit instead of the tower. It's a detail, but just thought I'd point it out to you, because even the details, can be achieved by normal players. I mean, it's not like you have to be a really high skilled player to do something like that. Puts out a knee ward to make sure that he covers the, let's say top side of the map. So, and again, we see Olaf coming in there. And he knows Olaf is still in the bush. So he's trying to get a gank, but for some reason Jenna decides, hey, let's call a clairvoyance there. But of course Olaf sees the clairvoyance and gets out of there. So yeah, of course Jenna gets screamed at for that. Because he knew that Olaf was there, and even if he just lets him sit there and doesn't get the gank, that's fine. Because even without the gank, Olaf is missing out on experience and gold, which he could gather in that time. Well, you see a big team fight, and Ashe clearly wants to get out of that because there's no way he can survive when Blitzcrank comes in. So trying to do damage with a volley in the end, and the volley, of course, very long range and does quite a lot of damage, and gets you or keeps you out of the killing zone. So basically just trying to get some last hits before going back. He spent all his mana because, well, why not? He got as much damage done as he could. He pushed the lane so that when he comes back, the lane actually is still not at his tower, so he won't miss too many last hits. He won't miss gold, and he's trying to get his Infinity Edge, which he can actually afford. Infinity Edge is mainly considered as the best starting item you can get. So if you're fed and you have no reason to go any defensive items, that's your first item. There is no reason not to. It's good against anyone, especially this early in the game. It's 13 minutes in and he has an Infinity Edge, which adds, I think, about 80 damage. I don't know exactly, but something like that. Okay, here Eve goes on the Olaf and pings Olaf, which is the communication again, which I talked about in the previous analysis video. He communicates clearly that he wants to attack there, then he attacks, and then Ashe ultimates with a nice big stun so that Eve clearly wins the fight there. Okay, so apparently there's a pink ward somewhere, and they spotted Eve coming in. And he draws these conclusions based on the fact that Corki behaved in a certain way. I mean, you can see people reacting differently when there's a gank coming up or something like that. And that was a huge crit, courtesy of the Infinity Edge. So he gets an easy kill again and is up 4-0. So Eve is going to again try to help out mid, get the gank off, and again they get a kill. So 5-0. This Eve is just fantastic for helping out with stuns, and combined with the Ashe stun, yeah, well, it's virtually impossible to escape if you're as weak as Corki is. Especially since Ashe is physical damage and Eve has magical damage. So if you would like to avoid this gank, apart from needing armor, you would also need magic resist. And well, that's fairly impossible. So the only way to avoid it, or to have a better chance, I would say, is to get Mercury Threads, thereby reducing the length of the stuns. And by reducing the length of the stuns, there is a chance that you would actually get out of there alive. And as you can see, Corki in the top side of the screen, Corki actually bought Mercury Threads because, well, he's getting killed a lot. His lane is totally lost at this point. He has no chance. So now Ashe can stay in lane, or Ashe can go help others, which is, I mean, the helping others is what most people would do. But since Ashe is, well, just the champion that needs to farm and has a global ultimate, basically. I mean, she can join in any team fight by just firing her ultimate. And yeah, well, there's no real reason to go out and go somewhere as long as the experience keeps coming in mid. And especially since Corki stays there. Well, they tried to get a gang going, to get Janna all the way around to come up from behind and then slow and pop him up. But it didn't work because it's warded apparently. So they knew something like that was going to happen. Ashe fires an arrow. Actually hits someone, but the fight was already over, so it doesn't matter. This is also something I learned from this game. When I'm Ashe, I try to help out everywhere with the arrow. But instead of doing that, you should really pick your fights. I mean, this Ashe hasn't used the arrow when it's up every time. No, only when there's a real potential of either saving someone or, in this case, normally getting the kill. Well, Eve again is getting kills, so 2 kills even. So Dragon is warded, as we can see. Dragon has been warded most of the game, as Dragon is a very big target for basically everyone, every team, everywhere. So whether you're high elo or low elo, at the lower elo people just forget that there's a dragon, but it's still a big target, and if you can get it, it's 975 gold for your team, which means basically that you get a lot more items. There he helped out with his arrow, trying to get people to escape, to make them able to escape. But Janna already did the work and pushed everyone out, and basically they could get out already. So, still farming, only helping out with the arrow, and dominating the middle lane, because Corki just cannot get up to the minions to actually do something. And now it's time to take out the turrets, because now is the time to basically help out somewhere else. Trying to join up with Janna here to actually get some hits off on whoever he can find. They warded the enemy jungle, so they can actually see the golem, and trying to get some hits here on the Lux. Actually gets the kill because Lux didn't realize the bush was warded. And against these people you should realize that everything can be warded, basically. 3 very low enemy champions, so they keep engaging here. No summoners left, and everybody gets out, which is kind of frustrating. So instead of getting any of the kills, he's just trying to get this blue buff. It's probably going to go to Janna, as she can do a lot more with it than Ashe can. Although Ashe is out of mana at the moment, so she's a good target too, but that's just because she's out of mana. So she can actually keep farming a little bit more. Normally it would go to Janna, because Janna can do a lot with the blue buff. Not as much as some of the mages can, but well, that's because they're dependent on the amount of mana. Trying to, well, get something done with the arrow, save someone, but yeah, he hit someone with, I think he hit Lux with a Banshee's Veil, which means the arrow doesn't do anything. So the enemy gets 1 kill.